I said, you need to get the fucking back together again soon because we all miss you. Same thing someone said to me.
In the wild world of rock and roll history, there existed a figure whose very presence could ignite both adoration and absolute fury. Steven Tyler, the demon of screamin' himself, wasn't just a boundary-pushing frontman who helped define American hard rock with Aerosmith.
Then I kiss your eyes, and I thank God we're together.
He was also a lightning rod for controversy that sparked legendary feuds throughout his decades-long career. Welcome to another explosive episode of Rock Drama Countdown, where today we're diving deep into the shocking world of Steven Tyler and the 6 bands who reportedly couldn't stand the wild man from Boston. The Massachusetts native behind anthems like Dream On and Walk This Way was known for his outrageous behavior and unfiltered opinions that apparently rubbed several major rock acts the wrong way. "I'm not just a rock star, I'm a rock and roll survivor," Tyler once declared to Rolling Stone magazine during a heated interview. And survivors don't play nice with pretenders. That attitude, it seems, created plenty of enemies along the way.
And so many bands have said that this is our last tour, to generate tickets.
From backstage blowouts to public musical warfare, Tyler's battles with these bands reveal not just personal vendettas, but deeper conflicts about authenticity, showmanship, and what rock and roll should represent. Some of these feuds exploded in the press, others simmered behind tour bus doors, but all of them left permanent scars on the rock music landscape. So buckle up for a wild ride through rock's most bitter rivalries as we count down the 6 bands that made Steven Tyler's blood boil. Trust us, these stories are more explosive than any pyrotechnic show and twice as dangerous. But before we unleash this rock and roll chaos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because you definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. 6. Bon Jovi. Coming in at number 6 on our countdown is a name that might surprise rock purists, Bon Jovi.
You say you've cried 1,000 rivers.
Yes, the New Jersey Arena Rock Kings, who dominated the 1980s, reportedly had a deep-seated tension with Steven Tyler that went far beyond typical East Coast rivalry. The conflict reportedly began during the mid-1980s MTV explosion when both bands were competing for rock supremacy on television screens worldwide. According to Rock Scene magazine editor Lisa Robinson, Tyler privately told close associates that John Bon Jovi was a pretty boy who stumbled into rock stardom, and that their polished image overshadowed what rock should truly represent.
It happens all the time. It's but it's really our only legal out from Sony.
What bothered Tyler wasn't just their commercial success, but what it represented for rock's authenticity. While Aerosmith was crafting gritty blues-based rock with genuine street credibility, Bon Jovi was achieving massive success with what Tyler reportedly called sanitized rock for suburban teenagers who've never been in a real fight. There's rock stars and there's rock performers, Tyler allegedly told Circus magazine in 1987, but insiders claimed the comment was directed squarely at Bon Jovi. Some people confuse good marketing with good music. The rivalry reached its peak during the 1987 MTV Video Music Awards after-party. Witnesses claim Tyler deliberately avoided being photographed with John Bon Jovi, reportedly telling a photographer, "I don't pose with boy bands pretending to be rock bands." Despite Bon Jovi's massive commercial achievements, Tyler never publicly softened his stance, maintaining that real rock came from the streets, not from marketing boardrooms in Manhattan. 5. Def Leppard. At number 5, we have Def Leppard, the British hard rock perfectionists who reportedly viewed Steven Tyler as a relic from rock's messier past. The bad blood between these two arena rock giants ran deeper than most fans ever realized. The conflict ignited during the early 1980s when Def Leppard was pioneering polished stadium rock, while Aerosmith was struggling through their well-documented substance abuse issues. According to Kerrang! Journalist Malcolm Dome, Joe Elliott privately referred to Tyler as a has-been who can't accept that rock has evolved beyond sloppy blues jams during a 1983 interview that was never published. What infuriated Def Leppard wasn't just Tyler's criticism of their production techniques, but his dismissal of their craftsmanship.
I'm a fan of all different types of music, but in the last couple of years I've realized that country...
While the Sheffield band was spending months perfecting each song in the studio, Tyler was publicly advocating for what Elliott reportedly called that old-school mess that passes for authenticity. Real rock doesn't need to sound like it was recorded in someone's garage, Elliott allegedly told Metal Hammer in 1984, without naming specific targets. But industry insiders knew he was taking shots at Aerosmith's raw approach. Some bands mistake sloppiness for soul. The tension exploded during a 1985 backstage encounter at a festival where both bands performed. Witnesses claim Elliott refused to acknowledge Tyler when introduced, reportedly stating loud enough for others to hear, "I don't respect bands that use their problems as an excuse for poor musicianship." Despite Tyler's later comeback success, the Def Leppard camp maintained their position that technical precision trumped raw emotion every time. Number 4 brings us to Kiss, the makeup-wearing theatrical legends who reportedly harbored a long-standing resentment toward Steven Tyler that went beyond typical rock rivalry.
I wanna lay it at your feet, 'cause girl, I was made for you.
The Demon himself had some choice words about Tyler's stage presence that never made it into fan magazines. The feud reportedly began in the mid-1970s when both acts were competing for the crown of most outrageous rock performer. According to Cream magazine founder Lenny Kaye, Gene Simmons once told a small group of journalists that Tyler was more circus clown than rock god, and that his success proved amateur theatrics could triumph over professional showmanship. What bothered Kiss wasn't just Tyler's approach to performance, but what it represented for rock's future. While Kiss was crafting elaborate comic book personas and precise stage productions, Tyler was achieving acclaim with what Simmons reportedly called sloppy rock theater that wouldn't pass muster in a Vegas lounge act. Real showmanship requires discipline and planning, Simmons told a German rock magazine in 1978, stopping just short of naming Tyler directly. Some performers think jumping around randomly makes them entertaining. The rivalry reached its peak during the late 1970s tour Circuit Wars. At a 1979 industry showcase, witnesses claim Simmons deliberately avoided being photographed with Tyler, reportedly telling a photographer, "Some associations damage your credibility as a serious performer." Despite Aerosmith's massive comeback in the 1980s, Kiss members never publicly acknowledged Tyler's influence on rock theater, focusing instead on Alice Cooper and other acts they deemed more professional. 3. Van Halen. At number 3, we have Van Halen, the California rock innovators whose tension with Steven Tyler reportedly stemmed from a deeply personal musical philosophy clash.
I've seen the toughest around.
The rivalry between these two rock powerhouses represented a fundamental divide in what rock guitar should accomplish. The conflict began in the late 1970s when Van Halen's technical virtuosity was revolutionizing rock while Aerosmith was known more for groove and attitude. According to Guitar World founder Brad Talinsky, Eddie Van Halen privately told associates that Tyler was a showboat vocalist trying to overshadow superior musicians, and that Aerosmith represented everything wrong with ego-driven rock bands. What made matters worse was Tyler's reported dismissal of Eddie's groundbreaking guitar techniques. A former roadie told Metal Edge that Tyler once referred to Van Halen's style as masturbatory guitar playing that forgets songs need soul, not just speed. There's musicianship and there's showing off, Tyler allegedly told Hit Parader in 1980, without naming names but clearly targeting Eddie's approach. Some guitarists think technique equals emotion, but the audience knows better. The feud intensified when both bands dominated MTV in the early 1980s. Despite Van Halen's technical superiority and commercial success,
Stuff can happen but you gotta know better. I'm just grateful I got sober in '88.
Tyler reportedly told Rolling Stone this was flash over substance, and that certain West Coast pretty boys were turning rock into a guitar clinic instead of emotional expression. At a 1982 backstage meet and greet, witnesses claim Tyler deliberately snubbed Eddie when approached, reportedly muttering something about real rock versus technical exercises. The slight created lasting tension between two of rock's biggest acts. 2. The Rolling Stones. Coming in at number 2 is the Rolling Stones, the British blues legends who reportedly viewed Steven Tyler as an inferior American imitator of their revolutionary sound.
Yes, and the stone is threatening my bird.
The rivalry between these rock titans ran deeper than transatlantic competition and struck at the very heart of blues rock authenticity. The bad blood began in the early 1970s when Aerosmith was being hailed as America's Rolling Stones by music critics. According to NME journalist Nick Kent, Mick Jagger privately referred to Tyler as a second-rate copycat who thinks attitude can replace talent, and believed Aerosmith's success was built on inferior imitation of the Stones' groundbreaking formula. What infuriated the Stones wasn't just the comparisons, but Tyler's alleged claims about American rock superiority. While the Stones had pioneered the blues rock template that made Aerosmith possible, Tyler was reportedly telling journalists that American bands understood the blues better than their British counterparts. "There's innovation and there's imitation," Jagger allegedly told Melody Maker in 1975, without naming specific bands but clearly referencing the wave of American groups copying their style. Some singers mistake swagger for substance and think louder means better. The rivalry reached its peak during a 1978 backstage encounter at a New York venue. Witnesses claim Jagger coldly dismissed Tyler when he attempted to pay respects, reportedly stating, "I don't have time for tribute acts pretending to be originals." Even decades later, when Rolling Stone magazine ranked greatest frontmen, the Stones camp notably avoided mentioning Tyler's influence, focusing instead on acknowledging performers they deemed more original. The ultimate insult, being dismissed by your own musical heroes as nothing more than a pale imitation. 1. Led Zeppelin. Taking the #1 spot is the most shocking entry of all, Led Zeppelin. The ultimate rock gods whose alleged dismissal of Steven Tyler reportedly cut deeper than any professional rivalry. The tension between these legendary acts made their rare public encounters feel like diplomatic summits.
When we're back together, you can feel it in the room too. And that little bit of glue and energy and honey is what makes it
The conflict began in the mid-1970s when both bands were ascending to mythical status through different paths. According to former Swan Song Records executive Danny Goldberg, Robert Plant privately told associates that Tyler was a poor man's blues shouter, and that Aerosmith's approach was American rock trying too hard to be British. What made this feud particularly devastating was its implications for rock hierarchy. While other conflicts were about competition, this struck at Tyler's deepest insecurities about legitimacy. Tyler reportedly felt that Led Zeppelin looked down on all American rock as inferior imitation. "There's creating legends, and there's copying them," Plant allegedly told a British journalist in 1976, clearly referencing the wave of Zeppelin-influenced American bands. The ultimate betrayal, being dismissed by the band that defined everything you aspired to become. Ready for more rock drama? Hit that subscribe button and let's keep this rebellion rolling.